Hey guys, this is our digital presentation on educational technology. The NCSS theme is Science, Technology, and Society, and it's aimed for 8th graders. And this is done by Sarah, Sam, me, Trisha, Cotton, and Allison.
Next is our assessment overview. The unit pre-assessment, students will look around the room and find as many pieces of educational technology as they can. After they find the technologies, the class will discuss about what educational technology is. For summative, students will write and perform a public service announcement for morning announcements that involves digital citizenship and ties in something from the previous lessons in the unit. Students can refer to their social studies notebooks they use throughout the lesson.
So my lesson is the first one in the series, and it talks about history of technology. And so the title is Evolution of Educational Technology. You can see the standards and the objectives. Just for the sake of time and getting through the rest of the people, we're just going to focus on the instructional method. So the pre-assessment was talked about, but that's in this lesson. That's when they write down the technology they see in the classroom. And we'll go over the list. And then from there, there's actually a YouTube video I have provided that talks about different eras of technology in the classroom and the changes that technology has had in the classroom, including what could be future technology. So it just kind of gives a good overview. From there, I'm going to break the class into individual table groups and have them present a short lesson using only the resources they are given. Those resources are resource cards. Each table gets a unique set. So some of those resources could be technology like blackboards versus others could have smart boards, etc. So it could be a good challenge for them. And students are expected to come up with a topic and teach a lesson on the topics they are given based on the resource cards, and each group will teach their lesson. After that is done, they'll go and in their social studies journals write down struggles they had while making a lesson, aspects that went better than expected, and how technology has shaped the way that learning our students are taught.
The second lesson in our sequence is geography, titled Educational Technology Across the World. The standard is students apply geographic knowledge and skills, for example, location, place, human environment, interactions, movement, and regions. The objective is students will be able to understand that technology helps move new information. My instructional method was group discussion and the social studies journal. So my activity has the students watch various videos of educational technology in classrooms from around the world, and while they're watching those, they think about the question, how does technology help move new information throughout the world? And then at the end, we have a discussion about all of the different videos we watched and how their technology helps move that new information.
The next lesson will be on economics and Indian education for all. Uh, the standard is the one we're all using, Social Studies 1-1. For the IEFA, we'll be using the Essential Understanding 6. History is, or what it says, history is the most often related through the subjective experience of the teller with the inclusion of more and varied voices. Histories are being rediscovered and revised. History told from an Indian perspective frequently conflicts with stories mainstream historians tell. The objective students will understand how technology is funded in public schools versus private schools. After they do research about that, um, and hear from an elder who had different types of technology when they were in school, um, they will create a 1 to 2 minute persuasive movie with the iMovie app with an iPad. They will understand the differences in elder school days compared to what they have now. Methods, they will be reading articles, writing short paragraphs, they will be researching where technology comes from. Um, Individually, they will make videos, and as a class, they will make one persuasive video. Students can compare and contrast technology from the elders to what they have now, and when everything's done, they will write a short reflection paper.
This is Trisha, and my lesson focused on civics. The objective of my lesson was that students would be able to analyze and apply the legality of internet laws as they apply to a cyberbullying scenario. You can see the standards that I chose. I have one social studies standard and one writing standard. The writing standard connects to the lesson because at the end of the lesson, students will be writing a 1 to 2 page reflection paper based on what they learned during the mock trial that we'll be doing for this lesson. And the mock trial will be on students taking different perspectives of a cyberbullying scenario and creating testimony, and then also participating in the mock trial. Students will also participate in a corners activity at the beginning just to get their minds thinking about the legality of the certain scenario and kind of applying their opinions to the scenario before they learn actually about internet laws. And then, as I said before, we'll do a case study and a mock trial.
So then the final lesson and section of our unit is sociology. This is where students are going to learn about a couple different aspects of digital citizenship. So we want them to be able to analyze and make judgments based on some different social media profiles. So one of our activities, students look at some fictitious social media profiles and look at and discuss with small groups and large groups how those students or kids, teenagers are portraying themselves. And with this, we hope that they can have a chance to reflect on themselves. And they're also going to be doing a little bit of jigsaw because they're going to move around. Corners is also used during this. That's how we start out the lessons. And this is a way for students to reflect on themselves and their friends on the internet. And we're going to do some writing and presenting with our summative assessment, which Cotton talked about earlier, and that will happen at the end of the unit and the end of my lesson. Students are going to pick an aspect they learned about digital citizenship and then combine it and connect it with another portion of the unit that they previously learned. And this is a really big thing for them because they're going to be doing this in morning announcements for their peers. So they have a really important audience and it keeps it relevant for them. And the biggest point for this portion of the unit is so that students can be safer online, and so we hope that they will make better choices.
We ran into a few challenges for our resources. For multiple of our lesson plans, we had videos and they were taken from the internet and had things that could be misconceptions to students, so we had to make sure we thoroughly reviewed them to make sure students wouldn't get those misconceptions, and if they did have misconceptions, we addressed them before we played the videos.
And to make our lesson plans, some of us, especially like for our sociology one, we accessed other existing lesson plans. An example of a great resource that we used was Google's Be Internet Awesome curriculum, and that is how the digital citizenship lessons were created. They were based off of that, but changed and shaped a little differently for our use. And we found it really helpful to find existing things on the internet for students, so we didn't have to start from scratch. And just in general, for all of us with our lesson planning, we had to review our sources and make sure that they were reliable because there is a lot of misinformation out there.
So overall for this unit plan, our group worked together really well. For the collaborative planning, we found that Google Docs was our life savior. It allowed us to collaborate on our lessons and our unit as a whole without having to meet as a group because, as everyone knows, it's really hard to meet with 5 people. To improve our lesson, we discussed there's 3 main things that we would improve. One is communication while writing our lesson plans. We all kind of wrote our lesson plans individually and then hoped that they would flow together, which kind of leads me into the next one, is that our unit as a whole works, but we wish that the lesson flow was a little bit more cohesive. It seems to be a little bit jumpy, and I think that has a lot to do with having to go from the history of educational technology all the way to kind of current day, how it applies to students, which is also the connection between lessons. It's a little bit vague. Tips for teaching our lesson. The main tip that we thought would be time management planning, because multiple lessons in our unit require 1 to 2 days to teach, and so this whole unit would probably take at least 2 weeks. So if this was a unit you're going to teach in your own classroom, definitely plan for that extended amount of time. And then just overall some challenges that we faced were meeting as a group. Our schedules were really different, so it kind of took a long time to schedule those meetings. Again, making our lessons work together. We went through and read them after they were all created just to make sure that they all worked the best that they could. And then also not repeating information in our lessons. we all kind of had an idea of what we were going to do, but we found that we were all kind of repeating some stuff, so we took that out towards the end. But overall, this unit was pretty good to work on. We feel like we produced a good final product, and it's a pretty educational unit, so hope you enjoy.